my decision to head to UAlbany this fall. Then, what happened to those ruby red slippers from the Wizard of Oz? We've got the details. Plus, Andy Grammer music is in full force for premiere week. Pull up a seat because it's time to talk. Live from Colonie, New York, please welcome your host, Andrew Makowski.
Well, welcome to our series premiere of Let's Talk. I am very excited to be here to start off this absolutely, crazy show, because there's already crazy things going on with this show that I didn't anticipate, and yeah, it's crazy, but we do have a great show for you today. We're kicking off premiere week. We've got a lot to talk about this evening, and I've got a song that I'm going to perform for you guys later on in the show, and I think you guys are going to enjoy it. Well, at least I hope you're going to enjoy it. That's always the point, right? I do want to start off by saying I apologize that we're not able to have the show live this evening. I guess I did not do a lot of rehearsing beforehand. If you have watched Coverpalooza in the past, you know I'm really not one to really rehearse things beforehand. I'd really much rather just come out here and wing it kind of thing, because I think that there's something to be said for authenticity. And when you rehearse and rehearse and rehearse, sometimes things just become a little too over rehearsed. And especially with a talk show, when you're trying to give your opinion on things, I do have notes here of things that I want to get to and things that I want to talk about, but it's important that it's natural. It's not, something that I've been thinking about and dwelling on and rehearsing over and over and over and over and over again, right? Because that's not entertaining to you, right? You want the live and unfiltered version of me, right? Well, unfortunately, YouTube has this funny thing that I didn't know existed, that you have to request to use the live functionality on YouTube 24 hours in advance. And so unfortunately, I can't go live on YouTube today because I just requested it tonight. And so unfortunately, today's episode will be taped. I will say this, though, that this is, for every negative, there's always a positive, right? In life, sometimes, we get thrown curveballs, and, sometimes we have to learn to be able to adapt with things that are thrown our way, right? And so, the positive to this is that the way this show is going to work is that we are going to be live, usually Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And Thursday and Friday's show will be taped in advance, and usually it's taped on Tuesday and Wednesday. And so this is giving me a little bit of experience, just kind of doing the filming and the taping in advance thing. But we will do those Thursday and Friday shows, what we call live to tape. There is no editing of the show. What you usually would see live is just being recorded in advance. So, it does make things a little bit more challenging for, breaking news things or breaking, celebrities that are getting a divorce or something like that. I can't talk about it if it just happened because we're not live. right? So that is the only downside to that. But we are here. You know, I want to talk about, really what kind of made me trade in those wings. Many of you may remember that last fall, I had resigned from my position with JetBlue Airways as an in-flight crew member. And I said, you know what? I'm hanging up my wings and I'm going back to the classroom in the spring. So the spring of 2023, I went on the huge college search, made a huge announcement about it and went away to and, everybody often asks me, do you regret things? Do you regret doing X or do you regret doing Y? And usually the answer to that is no. I really don't regret things in life because for every thing that I have done, experience that I have gained, it's life experience that I have gone through, that I have lived, and that I am a better person for, right? And so, regret out to Cortland. I really don't. There were a lot of positive things about my time at Cortland. I met some people out there that I, still, talk with over Snapchat and, I'm still very good friends with, right? And so there is a positive to that, right? And, so do not regret going to Cortland at all. But, there is story that I have been, kind of telling to different people recently, and it's a very factual statement. When I went to Cortland, the one major thing that I said was one of the determining factors for me to choose Cortland was because I felt as if the people there were very, very nice, right? And you had people that were just so kind and wanted to see you succeed. And, you know, it, it seemed like a very fun place to be. And, during college, it's not an easy a thing. College is not easy, right? We all know that. College is, if it was easy, everybody would have a degree. Everybody would go to college and they would get a degree because if it was so simple, just everybody would have a degree, and that's just not the reality of it, is that not everybody has a degree. And sure, it could be because for other reasons other than their readiness for college. It could be simply that they don't have the money to attend college. I mean, that's another topic for another day, is that unfortunately the cost of attending college these days is just astronomical. I mean, I remember years ago, I was talking to one of my friends in high school, Peyton Denault, and he and we used to talk a lot about Eurovision. And, we used to talk about the music and we used to talk about Europe in general, right? Because he was in a course called AP Euro, right? AP European History. And so we talked a lot about Europe a lot of the times. And him and I discussed, the fact that you can go to college for free. It's literally just like high school, right? You pay taxes, right? And part of your taxes goes to college and university. And so why we don't have that here, we'll never know, right? I mean, we pay a lot of money in taxes as it is. Sure, college should be a lot more affordable than it is, but unfortunately that's just not the case, right? So there are many reasons why people may go to college. But one of the main reasons I feel like is people aren't ready for it, right? But anyways, right? The thing is that like in order to succeed in college, when you go away to college, there is a transition that you go through. You are away from home, you do not see your friends. High school is in your rear view mirror, right? You have things that you have to overcome when you go away to school, right? And so I chose Cortland because I felt as if I was going to have enough outlets there, right? And I felt as if I was going to be able to have some fun there and that I was going to be able to succeed there, right? And that's one of the biggest things, right? We want to be able to succeed when we go away to college, right? Well, when I left and moved into college, right, started to experience different things, right? And one of those things is orientation. I went to orientation and whatever the lady's name was, I can't remember, right? Because names are just not my strong suit. If you know me, if I forget your name, unless I've known you for years, I'm probably not going to remember your name. It's just the fact of the matter, right? And so I was like, well, orientation. And one of the things that really stuck out to me, and I really didn't think about until way later on, until after I really left Cortland, was that she had said the average GPA of a student that attends SUNY Cortland was between a 2.0 and a 2.4. Now, let me put this in perspective for you. When I went to Hudson Valley, actually, I did most of my time there online, right? Because we've got COVID, right? Spring 2020 was going great. And then all of a sudden, bam, we went online. It was all virtual and it was all digital learning. Well, unfortunately, progress in my degree suffered, right? Because I was not great at online learning, right? When you are at home, when you are doing things virtually, it takes a lot more organization on your part, right? You have to be diligent about logging on, doing your assignments, submitting them, worrying about courses at the same time. The difference is that when you in the past did an online course, most of the time in the past, adults would do college like on the side. They would have some sort of career that they were doing. And, you know, they would either do night classes and they would commute to and from the community college and do their courses at night and whatever, would do an online class. Provided them the flexibility to work around their busy lifestyle, right? But it was usually only like a course or two at a time, right? Well, now you've got COVID and everything's online. So you have multiple courses that you are trying to take. I suffered with that. I'm not going to lie to you and say I did great. I really didn't. My last semester at Hudson Valley, I did terrible. Thankfully, enough to be able to pass and graduate, right? I mean, that's good, right? Well, in person at Hudson Valley, I got mostly A's and B's in my courses, right? And I worked hard, right? But I didn't work as hard as I probably could have. It was my freshman year, right? It was my first year of college. I really didn't know what I was doing. I was literally just going through the motions, trying to get out and get onto the other side, right? I mean, I'm sure there are people that can relate to that because we go into college thinking we know what we're going to expect. And really, in reality, we have no idea. We are completely clueless as to what lies on the other side, right? We really have no idea. And happened and it all plummeted, right? So I graduated from Hudson Valley with a 3.0, right? A B, flat B. And, happy with it, because especially during COVID, it was just challenging. And so it was what it was, right? Portland, people are in person, right? They don't have the excuse that, oh, it was virtual. And a 2.0 is a C. So you're telling me that most of your students get a C overall. That means they're getting mostly C's and D's in their classes. They can't pass. They're passing, but like barely, right? And so I really didn't think about it till later on. As time progressed, I would, go to my classes, and most part, I had very nice professors. They were nice. That's really all I can say about them. It's really part of the downfall at Cortland for me is that I felt like, I would go to class and these people, experts in their field, and they knew what they were talking about, but we just did not, there was no passion behind it. And I just could not like that, right? One of the things I like is when you have somebody that's an expert in their field, but when they're talking to you and they're teaching, you can tell there's some sort of passion behind it. They love what they're doing. They love the field that they're in. There was none of that. There really wasn't. You just got somebody like, for example, like I had a class, it was called geology. This guy who taught it, very nice guy. His name was Dr. Darling, right? Darling, right? Well, Dr. Darling taught this course, and so no excitement from him at all. Like, at all. Like, I could not relate to him at all. He was like 40 years older than me, and there was no connection, right? There was no connection. And we took our first exam, 90% of the students failed because you have students in this class that students really can only succeed if there's a good professor and if the professor can relate to the students, right? You have to be able to relate to your students to be able to teach them, inspire them, coach them, right? There was none of that going on, right? And so, unfortunately, as time went on, I just could not succeed there because I was not getting what I needed out of the education that I was getting. Right. And so I started thinking about other things. And, eventually I decided I wanted to leave and, go to, um, go back to being a flight attendant. Right. And so I did that. But, I really went into being a flight attendant kind of thinking like, this is what I'm going to do forever. And here's the thing, I hate the word forever because you really don't know what the future holds. You just don't. I could tell you right now, I know what I'm doing. And I can tell you a lot clearer of a path forward than I did a couple of months ago. Absolutely. But do I know what I'm going to do forever? No. I really think that people that go to school, that are in high school and declare a major freshman year and say, I want to be a psychologist forever, they're lying to themselves. If you want me to be honest, I really think they're lying to themselves because if we knew what we were going to do forever, your parents probably could have told you when you came out of the womb what you were going to do forever. Like, it's just not something that you really can say. You can't say what you're going to do forever, right? And so I don't know what I'm going to do forever. I have a lot clearer of a path forward, though, right? But I went back to being a flight attendant thinking like this is forever. Really realized was that that experience defined me. I needed to be home. A lot of people don't realize that like lifestyle is not as glorious as you guys all think it is, right? We're not rich. 99% of us aren't rich, right? But unless you're doing some sort of corporate flying, and we'll talk about that another day because that's something on the mind too. But um, making a lot of money. You're commuting. If you don't live in your base city, you're commuting, you're getting a crash pad, right? And commuting takes a lot out of you, right? Commuting is the commuting process itself had an issue with. People do have issues with it, depending on where you're coming from and where you're going. Some people have issues with it, right? Well, fortunately, it takes a lot out of you. You have to leave a day in advance, right? And you have to come back the night that your reserve is over. If you get on, you get on. If not, you stay another night. And it cuts into your time off. You're never home. You never see your family. You never see your friends. It is so depressing. I will never forget. I was in Denver and I was called, crew scheduling called me, and they're like, Andrew, we need you to do like a turn, sort of. Like, and whenever they tell you that, whenever crew scheduling tells you that, you just turn around and you go, it's not really a turn. If you're telling me it's sort of a turn, it's not a turn, because otherwise you would have said, we're going to have you do a turn. So they told me they wanted me to do sort of a turn. So I had to go, oh, Denver to Little Rock, Rock to Houston, deadhead from Houston to Denver. That's not a turn. Now, for those of you that are not in the aviation industry, a turn is I'm going from Denver, Salt Lake City, and then Salt Lake City right back to Denver. That's a turn. You turn the plane right back around. Or in my current job, I'm a gate agent. The plane comes from Orlando, it comes up to Albany, and we turn it right back around and it goes right back to Orlando, right? That's a turn, not a turn. You don't go from Denver to Little Rock, from Little Rock to Houston, and then from Houston, we're going to deadhead you back to Denver. That's just not a thing. So they got me back to Denver so late that there was no way that I was going to be able to non-rev back home and make it home that night. Frustrating. And that is the frustration of being a flight attendant, is that you never know when you're going to get home. You really don't. And sometimes it's exciting if you're making a lot of money and you're working a lot, but when you're not, it's not enjoyable because they always want to call you on your last day of reserve. And then it's like, okay, please, I don't want to do, I just want to go home. I want to be in my bed and I want to see my family. So, anyways, so happens, right? And I was in the Denver airport going, what the hell am I going to do? Right? What am I going to do? And I decided, you know what? Well, I love getting creative with ways to fly, right? And so I said, you know what? I'm going to fly from Denver to Baltimore on United, and then I'm going to fly Southwest from Baltimore to Albany, and I'll get home like 9 a.m. or something like that, right? Some crazy shit like that. So I'm like, okay, great. First class from Denver to Baltimore, got fed a huge meal. This is the luxury lifestyle of being a flight attendant. This is what we love, right? As being in the airline industry, that's what we love. We love getting first class. We love being pampered, and we love, love, love this luxurious lifestyle. But guess what? It hardly never happens. So I'm like, okay, great. It's going to be a long, I was going to be going all day. I was just miserable. There was no smiling. I was miserable. And I went to the bathroom, right? And I took a selfie and I posted it on Snapchat. And people were sliding up, going, you look miserable. Guess what? You're right. I was miserable. I was absolutely miserable because guess what? All I wanted to do was be home. And that was the beginning of the end for me. I started really reflecting on, what's really important to me? What do I want out of life? Where do I want to see myself in a few years? Where do I see myself going? Right? Because this question mark, this lifestyle that's a question mark and you never know what's going on, it's not working for me. Right? When I graduated from high school, I said, I'm going to school to be an earth science teacher, right? I knew the exact path forward. There were no questions for me. Wish could say that path, right? Well, that didn't happen. But what I can tell you is this: knowing what to expect, also knowing that there are going to be hurdles along the way is really the most satisfying, right? There's a quote, everybody knows that my one of my favorite shows was Timeless, right? And I watched that show for a while. Me and my grandmother used to watch it. I loved it, right? And in the pilot episode, there was a quote. Once you, oh goodness, I should know this quote. I have, been saying this quote for like some time, but for some reason I don't know it off the top of my head. Um, oh, once you figure out what you're fighting for in life, makes sense. And it's true. Once you really know the direction that you want your life to head in, and you know how to get there, there is a path forward. Everything just makes sense to you. And it's so, so true, right? And so like living in the knowledge and not the unknown. And so this is only part of, the reason that really pushed me to trading in those wings and really coming back to the classroom and buckling down and saying, you know what? Life is too short. You cannot live your life this way. You can't. You need to live life with a smile on your face. And I will tell you this, I mean, my time at UAlbany so far has been absolutely amazing. I have loved every minute of it. I have met new friends that I never imagined that I would meet, right? There comes a time in your life where things go wrong for so long that you think there's no getting better from this, right? Well, I'm here to tell you, um, because I have now seen it. I'm meeting people within my major and doing homework with them, something I had never done before. When I was at Hudson Valley for the one semester that I was on campus, we never did that. Are you crazy? I didn't even know anybody in my major. Knew no one. I can't tell you who else majored in communications. I have no idea, right? So this experience has been something that has been so needed and has really warmed my heart because it really pulled me out of a time that I didn't know that I could get out of. So, all right. Well, take a quick break. But when we come back, we've got more to talk about. So, there, you're watching. Talk. All right, welcome back to Let's Talk. All right, up next, it's that headline story that I've been dangling over your head that I've been wanting to tell you about. All right, well, according to People magazine, Terry Martin, a 76-year-old man, has pled guilty to the charges that were placed against him back in 2005 for stealing the iconic ruby red slippers that Judy Garland was seen wearing in the classic film The Wizard of Oz. After realizing that the slippers were not real ruby and were instead glass slippers, Martin sold the slippers. Let's talk about this. Okay, so we all know the movie The Wizard of Oz, right? It's a great movie. I think that probably considered a classic, and that's why I wrote it here, is that it truly is probably considered a classic, right? You know, when you think of ensemble films, you think of The Wizard of Oz. You know, you've got the lion, the Tin Man, the Scarecrow, you know, Dorothy, right? And one of the things, you know, that happens in The Wizard of Oz, spoiler alert for anybody that has not seen The Wizard of Oz, this, there's a girl I work with. She's never seen The Wizard of Oz. She doesn't know what The Wizard of Oz is. And I didn't really understand that. I'm like, come on, Alexis. You know what The Wizard of Oz is. Come on. Who knows what the Wizard of Oz is. But anyways, so the scenes at the very, very end is Glinda, right? Sorry, not Glenda, Glinda, right? The Good Witch of the North, right? And it's Dorothy, her ruby red heels together 3 times and say, there's no place like home. There's no place like home. There's no place like home, right? And so probably I mean, I would think at least the most one of the most iconic scenes in film history. I mean, everybody knows that line or that line from that movie, right? And so steal those slippers. I'm not saying I would steal them, okay? Let's get this right, okay? I'm not going to steal those slippers because my life is worth more than that. I'm not going to go to jail for stealing a prop that was in a movie, right? I'm just not going to do that. But let me tell you something. I want to know how he did it. He cannot be the only one that doesn't really that like wants to know how this guy stole these slippers, right? I mean, think about it. You really plan this out, right? And so you go wherever the film was shot. I don't know where the film was shot, right? And then they probably had them on display somewhere. So now you've got to get in through wherever the security. How did you manage to steal these slippers? Furthermore, okay, if you really thought that these ruby red slippers were real ruby, that's got to be thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. And they say allegedly that there were 3 pairs of slippers. So I'm assuming that Judy Garland wore them like for rehearsals or whatever before they actually shot the scene that appeared in the movie, right? Because that's the way these things work. And you really think they're going to spend thousands of dollars on a movie that was originally a book that they had no idea was going to if it was going to be successful or not, right? And you're going to spend thousands of dollars per pair of shoes? You ever love in mind if you think that they're going to do that, right? Because that's an investment right there. And you're putting money and investing money in something that is for a project that you have no idea if it's going to actually, you know, be successful. You know, it ended up being extremely successful. I mean, everybody knows The Wizard of Oz, right? We all know it. But you don't, you didn't know at the time when that film was made that that was going to be successful. So you're not going to spend thousands of dollars on these slippers, right? So I'll say is I'm actually surprised they're glass. I never would have guessed that they would have been made out of real ruby. I wouldn't have imagined that. But glass, I actually wouldn't have thought that because, the other movie that had glass slippers was Cinderella. So Cinderella heard from somebody, and I don't remember who, and I don't have a source, so we can't take it as gospel, right? But I had heard that the slippers that were used in that movie, real, because there was a live action version of Cinderella. I'm not talking about the animated version, with the little, Tweety birds, right? I'm not talking about that one. I'm talking about the real live action one. I was told that those were not real glass slippers. So if nowadays, however many years later after The Wizard of Oz was filmed, you have a movie Cinderella that didn't use real glass slippers, why were they using glass slippers? Right? I just would not have imagined that glass slippers than it. I really would not have imagined it at all. And so, yeah, I'm surprised. I'm very surprised that they're glass because I would have imagined they would have been cloth, right? I mean, if you look at those slippers, do they really look glass to you? Look glass to you. I want you to think about this. And I want you to hit me up on my IG. It's my first name dot my last name, Andrew.Mikowski. Send me a DM, and I want to know if you believe that those slippers that were used in The Wizard of Oz, if they look glass to you, because I think they look cloth or something like that, right? I can't be the only one that thinks that these slippers look cloth. They don't look glass to me. So I want to see what you all think about that. All right. All right. Lastly, we got to get into this because it's just going to be a short little thing. I'm going to be reporting on something that I heard today that I think your mom might be interested in, maybe. And maybe your daughter, your son might be interested in it. Who the hell knows? I don't know if anybody's going to be interested in it because guess what? It's kind of a little strange. All right. Well, apparently selfies are back. Well, I haven't taken a selfie and I can't tell you how long. Selfies are back in the capital region because according to News 10 ABC, a new business, picture this selfie studio, has opened its doors at Crossgates Mall. You'll now be able to enter different rooms and take selfies with props and set pieces. Okay, so I looked at some of these sets, okay, right? One room is like, you know, phones that are on the wall that you can pull off the wall and take a selfie with. There's another room that like looks like luggage is sitting in there, like you're gonna be going on vacation or something like that. Let me tell you something. I'm all for people trying to make their money, right? Life is too short. We talked about it earlier on in the show. Life's too short, right? And so everybody deserves to make their money somehow, some way. I'll tell you something. Don't you think that this is a little strange of a concept to you? I'm interested to see how this business does because I really don't think it's going to succeed. Don't. I don't think that you can have a selfie studio. And why would I pay you money for my picture? Camera. It's going to be a professional photo. It's going to be me that takes the picture. Why am I going to pay you money for that? So I don't know about you. I really don't think it's going to be successful. I just don't. I think that, you know, like the props and like the set pieces for like some sort of experience, right? Because this place is opening in like the place where the mystery room used to be. at Cross Gates. I think that's where it's opening up. But like after you go through the exit, use the props and take a picture. It's fun, right? I pay you money to do this. I just don't get it. So you know what? I want your opinion on this. You got to hit me up on IG, Andrew.Mikowski, and I want you to tell me what you think because I don't think it's going to work. I just don't. I'm brutally honest when it comes to this stuff. And I mean, sometimes I'm right and sometimes I'm wrong, but I just don't think it's going to work. I just don't. I think there could have been a lot of other businesses that could have been successful in there, right? Like, why don't we have like a mock-up studio that I can pay you some money and I can go shoot my talk show there? That would be nice, right? But no. All right. Well, before we finish this section of the show, I just want to say and remind you that this studio is temporary. It looks very temporary because it is temporary. We are getting a new studio upstairs in the living room that is going to have the TV behind us. And I'm going to have like a slideshow with like pictures and stuff that you'll be able to see behind me. Like if you watch a real talk show, right? And then you'll also be able to see some other things there as well, right? So, okay, so take a quick break. Next, getting ready to perform Red Eye by Andy Grammer. So stay with us. You're watching Talk. You and me, you and me, you and me. We're gonna make some real good company. Company. All right. Well, welcome back to Let's Talk. It's time for the Cover Palooza section of the show. The name of this show really is Cover Palooza. Let's Talk. It's kind of a marketing thing. When something works or somebody's already familiar with something, you want to engage new viewers and old viewers that knew you from something else so that you can be successful in your new venture, right? And, I love to sing and I always loved my Cover Palooza show, but I was looking for something more, right? And so this is the Cover Palooza section of the show. I am getting ready this Wednesday night. I am so excited. This Wednesday night, I am headed to see Andy Grammer at the Egg right here in Albany. And it is going to be so exciting. I can't wait. I purchased VIP tickets. So I'm going to be going to the pre-show hang experience with Andy Grammer. He's going to do it like a small little show of a few different songs um, with this small group of people that purchase these tickets. And I'm going to get an exclusive VIP merchandise package, and um, it's going to be great. I am so excited. And, you know, they know, like I've always said, like Demi Lovato is my favorite artist. And I've been listening to Demi for so many years. I mean, I really have. I've grown up with Demi in essence, right? And I still love her, right? It's taken some getting used to with her new creative direction that she's going in with her music. Um, but I've enjoyed listening to her music. But over the years, we started to appreciation more for Andy Grammer. Many of you may remember I went to go see him in concert during my sophomore year of high school. And I loved that concert. Loved it, loved it, loved it. So when I heard he was coming back, I said, care, like means necessary. I will be at that concert. Well, so it's time for this song. We're going to be doing Andy Grammer music all week long. So hopefully you will enjoy hearing more from him because we're going to be doing it a lot. Um, but this song is called Red Eye. I think we may have done this on Coverpalooza Legacy, as I'll call it, right? But I'm not sure. But this is Red Eye, Andy Grammer. So I hope you enjoy. Perspective of who I was, I hit the wall. I knew that it would take a lot, but it took it all. No, you don't come this far to turn around, cover too many miles. No, you don't get this close to breaking down just to close your eyes. While the world sleeps under my feet tonight, I'm chasing myself in the sky. While the world sleeps under my feet tonight, I'll be up here learning to fly. When you know what you're killing for, when you already know, it's sure to hurt, but it's worth every burn, because one day you'll be home till it feels like I'm always on the red eye. Time around, it's not even about getting paid. I'm just an addict for the moment when the magic is made. But when you are who you are, who you really are, it can put you through hell. Just spend a day in the skin that you want to live in and see how it feels. While the world sleeps under my feet tonight, I'm chasing myself in the sky. While the world sleeps under my feet tonight, I'll be up here learning to fly. When you know what you're killing for, when you already know, it's sure to hurt, but it's worth every burn, because one day you'll be home till it feels like tomorrow's on the red eye. Fly, tomorrow's on the red eye. From the window stand, I'm counting lines on minutes when I should be counting sheep. Truth is that I can't complain. I'll do it over and over again. and over again while the world sleeps under my feet tonight. Chasing myself in the sky while the world sleeps under my feet tonight. I'll be up here learning to fly while the world sleeps under my feet tonight. I'm chasing myself in the sky while the world sleeps under my feet tonight. I'll be up here learning to fly. When you already know, it's sure to hurt, but it's worth every burn, because one day you'll be home till it feels like tomorrow's on the red eye. Fly. I'm always on the red eye. All right. And that was Red Eye by Andy Grammer. I hope that you all enjoyed that. All right. Well, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back with more of Talk right after this. Stay with us. All righty. Well, we've reached the end of the show, you guys. You made it to the end. That is all the time that we have for today's show, but I would like to thank all of you guys at home for watching. We wouldn't be able to be here. That's all the time we have for today's show, but we will see you right back here tomorrow, live on Talk. Adios. Premiere Week is just getting started. Make sure to tune in tomorrow live for another episode of Let's Talk. The music found within this program are not the exclusive work of Andrew Mikowski. Extraordinary efforts by musicians and composers have taken their time and talent to create excellent work. Thank you.